Thank you to our sponsor, EJ Cards, a small but motivated company specializing in cards. EJ Cards believe passionately in great bargains and excellent service, which is why they commit themselves to give you the best of both. If you're looking for something new, you're in the right place. EJ Cards strive to be industrious and innovative, offering customers something they want, putting their desires at the top of the priority list. Find EJ Cards at www.ejcards.com.au or shop 394 to 398 Middleborough Road, Blackburn, Victoria, and also find them on Facebook. Thank you very much, EJ Cards, for sponsoring us.
Welcome everybody to episode number 50 of the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. We are your hosts, Adam Amy, joined always by Russell Gibson. Russell, 50 episodes. How the hell did we get here?
That's exactly right. Who would have thought, hey?
It's
Who would have
been
thought?
a ride.
Hasn't been that rough, really. It's been fun.
No, it's been a ride. It hasn't been a bad ride.
It's been fun.
It's been great.
Yeah.
We'll start off with, I guess my first shout out, like it's 50 episodes.
Yeah.
It's such a humbling thing to sort of get this far along.
100%.
But I think the first shout out I'm going to give is to Al from Chesh Breaks, or it's probably been rebranded and renamed now with a new super secret project that Al's working on.
I think technically it's RIP.
Yeah, no more Chesh Breaks. But
Yeah.
Al is the reason that we got together.
Definitely.
I think you came on. I was a co-host with Al.
Yep.
And afterwards you reached out. We did a bit of card school together, and then went, this is fun. Let's do this. Pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
And the podcast was born.
Yeah. I definitely thought we had something we could work with. I definitely thought that. I thought
at least 50 episodes worth.
I wasn't sure about 50 episodes. I wasn't really thinking that ahead. I just thought our personality types went quite well together. So that was my sort of gut feeling.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But shout out to Al. Thanks for sort of helping the universe put us together.
Yeah, that's it.
That's right.
And for his constant critique and positive feedback is always. We always look forward to Monday morning when Al messages us with some
constructive feedback.
Pep talks, I was going to say.
Pep talks, that's the one. Yeah.
Who else do you want to shout out, mate?
Shout out! Look, we've got some very, very loyal listeners out there, and
we do.
And look, the show would not be growing if it wasn't for the constant support and feedback.
It would not
from the listeners.
So thank you.
There's a lot to shout out as far as activity through the group. First up, I've got Martin Holmes.
Okay.
Shout out! lot of contribution and a lot of positive feedback. Very constructive. As always, contributing on the Facebook group. So, shout out to Martin on that. Who's next on the list?
I think for me, it's Andrew Dean. He's the one that came to my mind, straight off the bat. He's always commenting and, putting forward, really interesting thoughts and, little thought bubbles. So thank you, Andrew. We're very grateful, mate. We made you a group expert tonight, actually, before we came onto the show. So
we're learning to use technology. Yeah. We're Facebooking. Look at us go.
Yeah. Carl Morley and the Codex boys. That was a really fun episode. And we actually need to get back on with those guys and, talk some shop again. That was really good. So thanks, lads. Don McFarlane, David Gibson.
Yep. Who else have we got?
Joe Dennison.
Yep. Mark Smith.
And ADOS. So, and look, if we have missed anyone, we do apologize. But these are the guys that sort of came to our, mind first and have contributed from what we've seen, significantly. So,
and if we have missed you, don't worry, you'll get your shout out at some point. I'm sure we do go through a lot of the Facebook posts, especially when we put up questions and things.
Yep.
But we've had some interesting guests on the show recently. More recently, we had Mercury.
Yep.
Who we had? We had Charlie from Cherry on. That was a fun chat.
That was a ripper. Yep.
That was a ripper episode. Some interesting guests with Matt Yuga.
That's a really good host, actually.
He's been on twice.
He's a host, really. Yeah. The way he presents himself he's really a host. Yeah.
Yeah. But we've had a good range of guests, I think.
Who's your favorite?
My favorite, to this point, look, I enjoyed Charlie from Cherry. That was a really fun episode, but I'm going to say Brian Forsman.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Yeah,
There
he's
was
a
some
funny
off-air
dude.
stuff that we went through as well.
Yeah.
He was great value.
Yeah.
So we've had some great guests. Hoping to have some more in the future, of course.
Yeah.
And of course, we wouldn't sort of be uploading episodes every week if it wasn't for our great sponsors,
Mm.
Khalil at Slabbed
Yeah.
and the crew down at EJ Cards,
Yeah.
especially.
I mean, technically, we are currently without a sponsor. Our handshake agreement has technically ended with both of them, but I think either we'll work something out soon or we'll
Oh,
hopefully
look.
find somebody else. But nevertheless, we are extremely grateful for everything that both of our sponsors have done, and it was really good
Yeah.
working with Khalil. I think working with Khalil was fantastic because he's very much boots on the ground and
Mm.
arms deep in the hobby, and to be working with someone like that, it was very eye opening, and actually I learned a lot from
Yeah.
Khalil in our conversation, so
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that. I think my favorite guest that we had on was Matthew Yuga because it's really
Is that why he
interesting.
got invited back?
Definitely, look, I love talking to Matt. So now, what I'm about to say is definitely not critical to other people, but it's really interesting. So Charlie's like the best example. Very much, boots on the ground in terms of being in the hobby and all that type of stuff. But then when you
Mm.
sort of deep dive a little bit more into NBA, actually that was like a little bit outside of his sort of, knowledge base. But Matty's the opposite. He's like
Yeah.
deep diving into NBA, but also very
Yeah.
much still in that hobby space. So I actually found it challenging to talk to Matt because he knew his stuff so well. Almost I couldn't like BS him when we're having conversations. So I was like really thinking carefully before I said something. He was really good. Yeah. So
But
yeah.
yeah.
All right.
What a ride. 50 episodes.
That's enough of us frothing over our listeners and sponsors. I think we can move on.
Yeah.
What do you say? Yeah.
Yep, let's do it. I for one, very humbled, very excited that we got here, and yeah, let's do it. Episode number
+1.
50. Let's do
Let's
it.
roll, man. Yeah. NBA's back.
It is. It
Let's go.
is. Well, look, it's hit the ground running.
Yeah, it's been
my
good.
first thing is do we want to give Ja Morant the MVP right now? I mean, there's been some.
Small
I'm on the-
sample size theater. I want to bang my gavel on that, mate. It's too early. It's too early.
I've already put my money where my mouth is and
Have
gone
you
on
really?
to generic betting app and put my $20 on
Interesting.
on Ja Morant. I didn't get in quick enough. I only got him at $9, but apparently he was paying like 25 to 1 the game before he dropped 49.
Yeah.
But he's already up there in the top betting.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of stars that have sort of hit the ground running, so to speak.
Yeah,
Some great stats being put up.
Let's stick with Ja for 2 seconds. So his
Yep.
base PSA 10 is up 8.5%. Interesting though, his silver is actually down. It's down 6%. So
No way.
his last silver sold for 1,100. And so if you just pause and think about that for a second, so at a point in time you could have had a Jordan Poole or a Ja Morant. So, and I think we were joking about Jordan Poole last year, and I was just saying, you need to sell. That's why you needed to sell, because you could swap that out for a Ja Morant. So what do you think about that at 1,000?
That's look, I'm gonna say the last 3 months. No, even he's up 5% in the last month. So I don't know. I think that price is only gonna go up. Like I think the 1,000 point is not a hold; it's a buy. I don't know. I'm very high on Ja Morant. I legit think he's going to win the MVP this year.
Yeah.
If he wins the MVP this year, that is not his PSA 10 silver price.
Mm.
I think we're looking at the floor, not the ceiling.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that too. I think
Real dollar change. Yeah, it's only up a little bit. There's minor movement, but look, give him a couple of Player of the Month awards. Have Memphis at the top of the standings, and that price moves a lot, I think.
Yeah.
I think this guy, aside from the injury concerns, I really think he's the real deal. And
yeah,
he's such an exciting player.
Yeah. So my two thoughts about this is that it's a really interesting time because we've definitely had a downturn. I think that's the nicest way to say it, right? We've had this sort of big downturn, and I've actually, in some ways, really enjoyed it. Look, it's definitely hurt the value of the stuff that I already own, like, of course, but it's also been good because I just feel like there's sort of been all these cards that I never thought I would really touch. I've sort of been able to, even if I looked at them, do you know what I mean? Like, and entertained it. So for me, I've been enjoying that. And I'd almost put that into that because just off the top of my head, again, using Jordan Poole for that sort of like rule of thumb, like that's, to me sounds, really good. The only downside about this is, and we have to mention this, really early on in the show, the Australian dollar at the moment is just getting absolutely slayed, like absolutely slayed. So one US dollar is $1.57 Australian, or the other way of saying it is one Australian dollars is 64 cents American. So if we're buying this card at 1,100 USD,
that's 1,500 AUD.
It's 1,731 Australian dollars. So, that's like the part you sort of need to take into consideration too. And even though I've just said to you, it's a really good time to buy at the moment. Well, then you also need to make sure you use your currency converter too before you put that last bid down, because it's tough, man, at the moment with that exchange rate.
On that, and I'm not going to go down too far down this rabbit hole.
No, that's fine.
There is a space where people don't use currency conversion, and if you can pick up a Ja Morant for 1,100 AUD, you're getting yourself a bargain.
How are you going to get it for 1,100 AUD? I'm
just saying there are people that don't use their currency converters and see it as 1,100 and put it up for 1,100 AUD.
Okay.
It's a quick sale, like fire sale.
Okay. I hear
if their
what you're saying.
Is if they're thinking it's 1.3x when it's really 1.5, there are people that'll just put a flippant 1.3 on it.
Okay.
That you might get. The way the Australian dollar is, they may not have checked their conversion. So
yeah, interesting. Okay, all right.
If you can find some value in the way people
in the Australian market, is that what you're talking
in the
about?
Australian market, right, that's correct.
Sure. Yeah.
If you're looking local, and you can take advantage of that currency conversion.
Yeah.
And then by all means, I just think at this price, Ja Morant is currently a buy.
Yeah. What else has been?
Hoping I'm not wrong.
What else has been on your mind for the NBA since it's come back? Just that? Just
Ja? Wise, just Ja at the moment. Ja has really stood out. I've fielded a lot of questions about the wooden spoon. Shout out to Ross Berman for tagging me the other day. Asking if the Lakers are going to finish dead ass last. So, no, I don't think they are. Yes, I think there's moves to be made and trouble in paradise and all the rest of it. I do. I feel bad for Russell Westbrook.
All right, I'm going to almost put a time on you, mate. We're not going to talk about the Lakers too much tonight.
Well, you asked anything else about the NBA. That's
yeah, but no one wants to hear about the shitty
Anyone
Lakers.
Wants to hear about the drama that's going on in LA, just turn on the media. It's simple.
Can I be honest with you? No one cares about the quality of basketball they're playing. Like, what we care about is the Schadenfreude and how much we can dump on
how much closer LeBron is to passing Kareem. That's the only thing we care about now in LA, apparently. Yeah. Anyway, aside from that, no, there's numbers coming up everywhere. Yesterday's key performers everyone was filling stat sheets. Dame Lillard, Jokic, there's players galore.
People are actually in pretty good form early too.
All the big names were appearing in box scores, and it's exciting. I think over the next couple of months, we are going to be talking about so many big players and the return of a lot of basketball. It's great.
Yeah. So I think for me, I've got a lot of questions in my head. I've been sort of waiting and see what's going to happen with this player. What's going to happen with this player? So I've got a few quick hitters. So Zion Williamson, PSA 10 silver is up 5.7%, or in real coin, it's up $90. It last sold for $1,650. Now, again, let's just take a step back to Ja Morant. At the moment, who would you rather have in your hand, Ja Morant or a Zion? I think at $1,000, Ja seems even better value, doesn't it? When you compare it to 1.6 on Zion. So
I feel like we're on the dip here with Zion though. Yeah, not picking it up any lower, but I agree. Ja is better value.
Yeah,
as far as comparatively. But,
I definitely think there's some value there.
Zion looks really good.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say it. Zion. We're going to be doing a lot of Zion watch, and I think it's going to be a lot of a lot of positivity coming out of Zion this year, as long as he stays healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks really good, and I thought he had actually some really good chemistry with Ingram too. That was the other thing I'd sort of
Yeah.
noticed, really quickly.
Yeah.
Luka Doncic, that's the other one that's definitely been on my mind because I felt he slid down in the last sort of 6 months, and I didn't really know why. Like for me, there's no really good reason for that. His silver PSA 10 is up 2% in the last 3 months. It last sold for 1,900. Again, we're talking funny money at this point, but I think that's just a really, really solid buy for me. I saw no good reason why Luca was going down. So I picked up a couple of things on the off season that were, Luca rookie cards, and I'm feeling very, very happy with myself. I'm feeling, very good with those purchases. And just for that sort of ridiculous dream card that I'm going to talk about it for no other reason other than it's a cool card. The orange number to 49 recently sold. It sold for $31,000.
Wow.
We're going to talk about another card later in the show. And basically what I'm going to say is, there's been a lot of negativity, things are going down, blah, blah, blah. But there's a lot of action happening in the hobby too. And when you see stuff like that, the hobby is not dead. The hobby is doing really well. It's just some cards are going down. And maybe there's a good reason why some of these cards are going down. They were overpriced in the first place. And you just need to be a bit more selective in what you buy. So,
I've got a player for you. I've got a
talk to
player.
me.
And it's probably, he's already had his explosion.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling if Jard doesn't win the MVP, that Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to win his third MVP.
Interesting.
This man is a man on a mission, and now he's got his partner in crime back. I think the Bucks are scary.
Yeah.
And if Giannis does this, it gets to the promised land and wins the championship in his third MVP, what is that going to do for his prices? Just buying a base rookie, you're looking at last sold price of $1,163. He's up 17%.
Yeah, and when you say it like that, and you're comparing, say, a Jar or a Zion, like you're getting silvers for that price compared to a base, right? That actually gives you a bit of context and sort of what you're not gambling on, but what you're betting on, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's look, if you want a silver, you're looking at thousands. Where are we?
Yeah.
But we're talking a different year. Like this is 2013 Prism, but last sold PSA 10 silver last sold for 19.2K.
Yeah.
But there's a pop count of 75 on the silver Prism.
Yeah.
In PSA 10. So I don't know. BGS 9.5, pop count of 123, 8,890 was the last sale.
Interesting.
That's still up 1%. I think this is the Greek freak we're talking about. It could be interesting. Anyone else?
Yeah, so my next two are, to be honest, a little bit of jokes, but at the same time, they have definitely been on my mind. So Jordan Poole, we've already spoken about him. The card that I actually picked up off the card ladder sort of weekly movers and shakers is a fast break number to 125. It's up 34%. It last sold for $305 US. And the reason why I want to talk about this card doubly is because generally I find fast break prisms don't sell that well. And I've always felt that there's been a little bit of value sort of in that space in terms of you're getting cards that are, they might be numbered or, they're rookie cards or whatever. And I really love the variants in particular. And I've always found them to be like very achievable cards, something you can get your hands on. So for me to sort of see a sale like that, I'm very warmed by that. And then also too, it's just the Jordan Poole effect. So obviously there's still a lot of heat and a lot of momentum, in that guy because
he just signed an extension.
Yeah, he did. But I think also too, some people are just popular and some people aren't. I think we just have to accept the fact now that I think Jordan Poole is just hobby relevant and, here we are. And then the other person who you just have to accept is going to be up and down like a yo-yo. He's back, bowl. So he's up 49%. His PSA 10 last sold for $100. And the real dollar value that's up is $32. So people are picking them up. And then the lowest sale here was actually $20. And that was in the same 3-month period. So that's a fun one because
well, yeah, like
who knows where he's going to end up? But if you want some high risk investment that's going up and down like a yo-yo, and you love the stress, like jump on the bowl train.
High risk, high reward.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
for
the
sure.
the game that I was watching a little bit today as I was sorting some cards was the Cavs. I'm super interested in this team. So Garland's out, and I still thought the Cavs look excellent. And picking up Donovan Mitchell is so huge because it's exactly why what we saw today. Garland's out, but they just keep rolling like a machine. So Evan Mobley to me just looks better. And I can't particularly say why, but his shooting's just a little bit better. He just looks a little bit more confident. They actually ran an isolation for him today on the wing, and he got to the basket and scored. I really liked that. I liked the two-man game with Kevin Love and Donovan Mitchell. I thought there's like a bit of potential there, but I'm going all
Mm,
over the place. But the one I want to talk about is Mobley. So his silvers, the last two sold for $60 and $43.
yeah.
I was a little bit like, I didn't really want to talk about him in terms of a buy last year, just for the fact that, he's a big guy and, do big guys really do well in the hobby space. But I think for me now, just even after seeing two games of Mobley this year, I'm like, we can't not talk about him in terms of like, a
Mm,
quick hitting sort of, format. I think this dude is legit. And I think his prices at the moment are very gettable for the talent that he has. If you're going out and buying Mobley at the moment, I don't think you're going to lose a lot of sleep over this guy. I think that's a really good purchase.
yeah. I think
And
the I
that's
think the Cavs are I think the Cavs are the real deal this year. It's going to be
yeah,
interesting to watch.
yeah. That's my quick hitters start of the season NBA content. Yeah, that's me done, Ad.
Well, it's
Yep,
yeah, I think we just got an exciting season to look forward to. I'm
yep,
glad that it's all back. I'm just looking forward to seeing some good basketball.
yep, yep,
Awesome.
100%. So the next topic is overseas consignment. I just want to really, quickly talk about this. We've talked about this on the show with Khalil. We've spoken to Joshua Faruga, and he's recently just opened up his own consignment service.
Yeah, I
And
saw that.
this is not a paid advertisement. This is something
Mm,
that's on my mind. But, these are people that we've had dealings with.
yeah.
And I think that if you are selling cards, you really need to think about overseas consignment even more at the moment. And it's doubly. You're breaking into a bigger market. Things
Yep.
are a little bit slow in the world, but I would say particularly in Australia. But you can't ignore the exchange rate at the moment. Like you just cannot turn a blind eye to that. So
Mm,
that's something that actually you need to take advantage of. When the exchange rate is what it is in Australia, well, then you're getting more dollars in America. It's as simple as that. To just say it like that. So
yeah.
I'm almost tempted to do it just for the sake of doing it, just to consign with Josh or consign with Khalil or
Yeah.
consign with PWCC and just see how it goes because I think the risk at the moment is quite low just because you've got that beautiful sort of cushion in the exchange rate. So
Well, that's it. Even a bargain to some people overseas is
yeah,
profitable to someone here. Yeah.
yeah. I think if you're doing say one or two cards, I'm not too sure how that would go in terms of postage and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Khalil will have a bit more information. I'm sure Josh will walk you through it really easily. So
Mm. Yeah, but take
what?
advantage of that. Don't get burnt by the exchange rate. Why not take advantage
Yeah,
of it?
that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah. What's
definitely.
your thoughts on consignment, mate?
I like the idea of consignment.
Yeah,
It's
because
now
you've
with
consigned with Al, haven't you?
I have
Yeah,
I consigned with Al for a little while. Moved a few
yeah,
Kobe's.
yeah,
It was a great process.
yeah.
It's I value my time. The reality is doing selling cards can be time consuming, especially when you got lots, right?
It is time consuming. It's not can be. It is time consuming. Yeah,
It's as time consuming as you make it. Like there is an amount of time it takes,
yeah,
but yeah, if I want to sell lots of cards, it's going to take me a lot of time to do that.
yeah,
If I want to be thorough about it and do it the way Josh Ferrugia does it,
yeah,
I'm going to take 2 weeks off work,
yeah,
and I'm gonna. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a
yeah,
lot of photos, posting up on different sites. And the more thorough you are, the better results you get. We understand that,
yep,
but they're time consuming things.
yep,
So why not get someone that does it for a living
yep. Who's a
or
professional?
is much better at it
Yep,
to do it for you?
100%. I'm
I
fine with that.
I, I know that I'll be if I do it myself, I get less exposure, but I'll pay that extra fee to get better exposure and potentially more sales.
Yep, I'm fine with that.
So I don't know. I think time is money, and the value you get out of consignment. Um, I think it's a great idea.
Cool.
I'm thinking about. I'm very seriously considering speaking with Josh to arrange some consignment.
Yeah.
Some additional consignment.
Why
But yeah.
not? Yep. Backyard breaks. What have you been thinking about backyard breaks since last week when we did that little rundown?
I don't want there to be conspiracy. I also do want there to be a conspiracy. I actually, but
make up your mind. Come on, man. Where are you leading with this?
I don't think that they know or they're involved in the process. However, I do think hot packs get sent to breakers. That's my afterthought.
Yeah.
There was a
So you do believe that it happens?
I do believe it happens. I also believe there was something else from the collectibles guru exposing tops, wasn't it? And marked packs. Now, before I get killed by a fact checker, let's bookmark this.
Sure. Why don't we talk about it next week? Yeah,
we'll talk about it next week. But
we'll
I do believe
due diligence. Yeah,
I do believe, and I'm allowed to believe it, even though it might not be true. That yes, the collectibles guru has exposed tops for sending marked packs to or having marked packs. So there is a tweet out there. Please don't let me down, Twitterverse.
So my whole thing about this backyard breaks. So backyard breaks actually did a video to address it, and they literally addressed it head on. They just said these are the cards that we're breaking, and then he took out a carton of apple juice, took a swig from it, and then said, "Why would you break with anyone else?" Like
that was gold. I saw that video.
Marketing geniuses, honestly. I'm sure they put it on TikTok, Twitter, yada yada, Instagram, and did the whole 9 yards.
It makes sense though.
Effing genius. Like that was so funny. As much as like I dislike those guys for that moment in time, I was like, yeah, you guys are kings. So Panini still hasn't responded to the whole situation, accusations, however you want to, label it.
Look, I mean, do you think they're going to?
I think if they do respond to it, it opens them up for liability. So they're best just to leave it as free advertising and people talk about them and hopefully it'll get them a few more clicks, right? I mean,
conspiracies. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There hasn't, and some people have, I've seen a bit more breakdown of the opposite side as to why his statistics are wrong. And, and other people sort of say, well, there's other hits other than those. But I do agree they are the bigger cards, but
I don't know. There's always more than one player in a draft. So if they're gonna hit something big, then one of the bigger breakers, of course they're gonna hit something big.
And look, I would probably say, like you, as much as I would like there would be a conspiracy, the most likely scenario is that they are just breaking more product than anyone. They're doing cases and cases and cases a day. That's the reason why they've got all, a whole heap of cards. Like, I mean, that's probable too, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's move on. Scammer goes to prison.
I didn't want to click the link, to be honest, but
well, I've clicked the link.
I was scared. No, I was joking. Thought I was gonna get it. It was a scam link, but
yeah, fair enough. I would definitely try and put malware on your computer with links. It's true.
That's it. It's identity theft. You could just be anyway.
So this was posted on NBA Basketball Cards Australia. It was posted. Yep. Yesterday. Geez, my life is going really quickly. I thought that was a couple of days ago. I'm not going to say the person's name, but it was somebody that was in Australia who was scammed of $50K. So, and I am going to read some of the article because it's worth reading.
Yeah.
A Mez Hoppenman has been sentenced to incarceration after an investigation into him scamming a man from Australia out of tens of thousands of dollars in basketball cards. Michael Benjamin, 37, was sentenced to incarceration in the Bradford County Correctional Facility for 6 months to 42 months, followed by probation supervision for a term of 18 months by the Bradford County District's Attorney Office. The sentencing comes after an investigation into the incidents that occurred in the township in Athens Township in 2020 and 2021. So the police looked into 400 pages of PayPal transactions, messages, and pictures. Now, this is the really interesting part. I'll just try and find this in the article. According to police, Benjamin admitted that he lied to the victim on multiple occasions, including making fictitious business partners' identities, taking aeroplane flights to further transactions between him and the victim, and lying about medical issues, all in the order to deceive the victim. So,
Wow.
and what's when I say funny, I don't mean funny, ha ha. What's interesting to me is that scammers all have these very kind of like almost set lies about
Yeah.
people who are sick, and then they make up these sort of fictitious people and family problems and all this type of stuff. So this dude's just he's literally just written the book on this.
Just gone for the scammer's playbook. And
Yeah, and look, I don't know the backstory. I don't know anything more that's superficial. But the reason why I do think this is relevant to talk about, obviously, it's an Australian man, but that he actually, well, he's been given by the courts restitution. Whether he'll get that money or not, is to be seen. I hope that he gets it.
yeah.
But also too that the person's actually has gone to prison for it, and that's actually what caught my eye when I first read the post. This post is to show everyone who thinks to scam people is okay and they can get away with it. It's clear, obviously it's not okay, but in this very particular instance, the person's gone to prison. So, and the other thing that really caught my eye too is the person who was the victim actually said about the impact that it had on his life. So he spoke
Yeah.
about his relationship failing, and
Yeah. It's
it's pretty full
phenomenal.
on. Yeah, when you
Yeah.
say it like that, it's absolutely horrible. So I'm really glad that he got caught and something's been done about this.
Yeah, like I mean, people can joke and go, "Oh, look, someone got ripped off for a couple of basketball cards," but this is like a lot of
Yeah, it's
money,
crazy money, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. And
and
I
it's
would probably say, if you think about that sort of timeline too, that was right in the middle of the boom of it all, wasn't it? Where stuff was
mm.
valued at just
Oh, that
insane
point,
amounts.
yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. That was and there was
yeah,
a big spike. So yeah, a lot of we're talking serious dollars.
yeah.
We're
What's
talking
your
thousands of dollars of cards being sold. I'm just glad people are being held accountable
yeah, yeah,
because as as much as I joke and will make my regulate the hobby statements,
yeah,
it's a crime to steal from somebody,
yeah,
right? This isn't just the hobby. This is someone scamming them out of a transaction.
yeah.
And it's the risk we run when we buy and sell things through different means.
Which is somewhat unregulated, to your point. Yeah,
Yep. Yep. And as much as occasionally someone scams someone for a $50 card, which is not right by any means,
no,
but the scale of this is like you don't know why the person was selling the cards, but it's not getting. I don't know. It feels so wrong, but
yeah. Of course, it's absolutely it's wrong. There's no debate on that at all. Yeah,
it's like you're a victim of a crime and you feel so helpless when it happens
yeah,
because it's sort of a cyber thing in the sense that you might be transacting with someone halfway around the world.
yeah.
It's not like you can go to their house and knock on their door and say, "Oh, pay up."
No, well, they would have given
They
a
can't.
fake
Yeah,
address or whatever. Anyway, I'm sure.
correct. So to actually see a resolution to this by the authorities, taking it seriously, and as I said, 420 pages of PayPal transactions or messages exchanged. Like, there's some serious digging from the authorities. So I'm just glad that someone's been held to account for doing the wrong thing.
So
Yeah.
I suppose my closing thoughts on this is about products that we've spoken about on the past. So, for example, Veriswap.
Yep.
I think the concept of Veriswap is complicated and it's convoluted to get on board. But then when you see these type of scenarios, that's the type of thing where yes, it's a pain, and yes, you have to pay for it, and yada yada yada. Well, then this is also the security that it provides, and then we lump on PWCC, we lump on Probstein and all that type of stuff. But if you send them 50K of cards, they'll sell your 50K of cards too. So it's
that's true. But it's a hard one, isn't it? You rag on all these companies, but it's that security that this stuff isn't going to happen to you.
Yeah, and look, yes, you'll pay a percentage to them, and all that type of stuff too. But I would, I can't put words into his mouth of what he would do in the future and all that type of stuff. But I would imagine
Can I point out that you pay brokerage when you buy and sell shares? Like, I think paying fees to people to transact on your behalf is fine.
Yeah, it's the
And
cost of
people
doing
need to get
business.
around. Yeah, exactly
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
There is an inherent cost in it.
yeah.
And look,
And maybe
buyer
if
beware, seller beware. It's not the safest of places. Don't go in too naive. Know that this stuff can happen, and be careful.
yeah,
Be careful. Know who you're dealing with.
yeah,
Asking if it's a big transaction, needing people to be vouched for is important.
yeah.
It's not difficult.
Alrighty, cosmics. Let's talk about cosmics.
Comics. I've done all my research. Well, let's talk about comics. I've got a Batman comic that I'm sorry.
Look, it auto-corrected. It was supposed to say cosmic.
Ducking hell, Adam.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. So
Yes.
this is the classic how I write content for the show. This was
Mhm.
a card that came up in my eBay feed. I was bidding on it when it was in the hundreds. It finally sold for 600 USD. It's a Tyrese Halliburton Premier Level Select. It's the Cosmic. It was PSA 10, sold for 600. So
Mhm.
what I was tossing up my head is how much is this card worth and how many of them is there? And the reason why I'm asking that is because it's an unnumbered short print, and I think we throw around this term short print and SSP and super short print and blah blah blah, but actually how many of them are there? So I'm interested in that. So I spent a little bit of time trying to investigate it, and I think the other thing that was holding me back too was that it was select. So
Mm.
I think the last couple of years with Select, to say it nicely, they've increased the print run of that product significantly. And the other thing they did too is they put a lot of numbered, low numbered cards into it. And they also put a lot of unnumbered short prints. And I'm doing this in, air quotes,
Air quotes.
with the tigers and the elephants and the peacocks and all this type of stuff.
That's
So,
not one of the 800 different one of ones, is it?
look, I actually don't think there's that many one-on-ones in the product, but there is a lot more short printed cards. I think it's safe to say that. So
Yeah.
we've had a few comments on this. So Andrew Dean, as a PC piece, very nice. As an investment concerning, I have to admit I do agree with that. I think we should talk about that. Hold that thought for a little bit later, though, when I get a bit more information out. Damo Winterbond, I never understand why SSP don't have numbers like the old days. I can't agree with you more. Like, why can't they just number these cards? And probably my answer to that is, it's kind of like what's in the box. It's like you can take this card, which you know what it is, or you can have the mystery prize. And I wonder if in some ways we know what the card is, but we don't know how many it's numbered to. So it almost makes it like a little bit cooler or a little bit better that we don't know. Is it numbered to 10? Is it numbered to 25? Or is it, is it 50? Like, I mean, let's be honest. I think they're sort of eating into our psyche a little bit.
Oh, they're playing games. It's great.
Ados, I've got one, Russ. So he actually showed his LeBron James. And what's, I think, interesting about this, and I think this is a really good contrast, is because he estimates that his LeBron is 1 in 42 cases. So I think that's a really good representation of cards, say, from 10 years ago to now, in that maybe there's 10 times more cards being printed. So, it's the same type of ratio. No, is it the same type of ratio? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Like comparatively.
Yeah.
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 Dispersed it. Yeah.
Brendan Sharp. So that's Brendan from Mercury. He came onto the show a couple of weeks ago. I only ever see one Paul George come up for sale, and he bought it. Yeah. So, and that is true. There's not a lot of cosmics that come up. And our final comment was Jonathan McCloskey with a fire emoji.
I like them.
So thank you, Jonathan. So I did a little bit more digging into this. So these cards actually came out of the Panini rewards packs, and
Okay.
to buy these rewards packs, you need 5,000 Panini points, and then you go onto their page, which you set up an account. It's also where you scratch off your redemption codes and you put your redemption cards in. So it's the same platform as that.
Sure.
So 5,000 points is not a small amount of points, but it's not massive either. Like some of the cards they've got on there, like the rookie cards, are say 35,000 points. So just to give you a little bit of context, and then in the packet you got 3 cards, and I think you got a concourse, a Premier Level, and a courtside, I think. Anyway, it was something like that. So it was a relatively generous pack.
Yeah.
How many they printed, who absolutely knows. But the reason why I think this is actually significant now I think about it is because we recently had a guy in our chat room. He had a card that he was waiting for a very long time to be redeemed. It was not redeemed for a card. He was given 5,000 points for it. And frankly, I think the 5,000 points was under for what he was redeemed for. But is this the future of like things to come? Because if they need to start tying off all these like unfulfilled redemptions, is this something they're going to be looking at doing again in the future? So,
well, they got 3.5 years of operation.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Look, I think in their defense, they are actually making interesting sets. So when they did the Kobe Bryant, redemption fill, they actually made a mosaic Mamba snake print one, and they were numbered to 8, the cards in those packs.
ooh,
Well, some of them were numbered
yeah.
to 8. Some of them are unnumbered. If you had a Kobe redemption, you're waiting for it. Did you get fair value out of those packs? No, look, you probably didn't. But I still think the thought was there, and they tried to do something interesting. The thing that has actually come to my mind, though, is the two sets that are most apparent in my head are Select and Mosaic, which are kind of really second-rate sets or sort of, subsets in comparison to, say, National Treasures or Flawless or Prism, right? So I think that's an interesting play in itself, but is there sort of some Panini strategy? I don't know. Maybe not. So yeah, that's, I think something else that we do need to keep in mind. Is this, something that, we're heading towards in the future? If I had 5,000 points, would I buy one of those packets? Look, I think I probably would. If you can get a card that, PSA 10s and you're selling it for 600 USD, and Halliburton's not a massive prospect, but he's not a tiny prospect either. Let's call him a good middling prospect. I think that's an excellent return, to be honest. So what's your thoughts so far with what I've touched on?
I think it's very interesting, right? So I'm going to go down the path of case hits.
Yep.
Case hits are not numbered.
Yep.
But we know they're limited to 1 per case.
So case hits fit into this conversation 100% because they fall into the SSP, SP conversation 100%. I agree with that.
It's very much obviously the player dictates the value to an extent, but you get a perception of the rarity.
Yeah.
Because it's a case hit, right? There are some case hits, you get 2 case hits in a box sometimes. You know what I mean? Like in a case. The blank slates were case hits, weren't they?
Court Kings, you get 2 case hits per.
Yeah.
And in the blaster cases, that's a tricky one because sometimes you get 0 case hits. Yeah. Sometimes you get 0 blanks. Sometimes you'll get 2. So it depends. Yeah.
But that still gives you some relevance, like relativity to work with as far as how rare they are.
Yeah.
With these, there's no basis of comparison.
Yeah, it tells you rarity, but what it doesn't tell you though is pop count. Like how many blasters did they smash out, man?
That's true. But that's the thing though. Like you with a case hit, you have a guess, a ballpark guess of how many cases they're producing.
Yeah.
No one knows how many cases, right?
Yeah.
But if you can convert a card and say, okay, so on average, I'm seeing 1 come out of a case or 3 come out of a case.
Yeah.
You then have a basis of relativity to work to.
Yeah. If you could work out how many cases there are. Yeah,
but
definitely.
You treat it like a case hit or just below a case hit if you're getting 2 to 3 per case.
Yeah.
The problem is, I guess they're not. People aren't providing the data on what's coming out.
No, definitely not.
Seeing. And if they're coming out of the Panini rewards, it's even less relativity because they're not coming. Are they coming out of packs is the question.
No. So they're printed and the only way you can get them is through Panini rewards. Yeah.
So back to the old time will tell. Until they sort of get graded, you don't get a real feel for it.
Definitely not.
You're not going to have a feel for it for 2 or 3 years till after they're printed. So I don't know. You're not seeing hundreds of them pop up, are you?
No, definitely not. They are. Even if you do say a search now on eBay for them, you might find 20 in total. I would say if you found 20, that would be very high. I would say you more likely might find 10. So there's not millions of them floating around.
And I think you I think with the comment about it being concerning from Andrew.
Yeah.
as an investment, I think it is concerning because Panini are about to shut up shop. Now,
Well, that's not
we could see a dump
well
of them. I'm not saying it will happen. I'm saying there's a
of
possibility.
cosmics. Do you mean?
Yeah.
I think they would have printed a set amount of that, and then I think that's it. I think what is more likely to happen is I think if the after sale of these cards is good, that will
Mm.
give them the idea that this was a successful redemption program, and then
As a
you
good replacement program. Or,
yeah, sorry, replacement program, and then you can sell that to people as okay, I'm giving you 5,000 points. You can with that 5,000 points, you can get this pack.
And you might get one of these super hard to get cards. I like
Exactly.
that. I like
Yeah.
that.
And
I
I
like that.
wonder if that's the optic of, where this is going. That's what makes
I
me
just
think.
I,
Yeah.
I just hope it's not the opposite where they go, oh, people aren't really redeeming these. I'll bugger it. We'll make it 1,000 points per pack for this month only, and people just go bonkers on it.
Yeah.
I hope not. But that's the thing. Panini are in control. They know the numbers.
To get 5,000 points, though, that is not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not.
Like, I would say, I think the most I've ever had in my account is 6,000. And I would say that took me a good year to build up. I mean, look, if you really put your head down and was scouring eBay
The
for
amount
points,
of people that
you
you
could
just
get
keep wanting
5,000.
to, you can jump onto all the pages and be like,
Yeah.
want to buy Panini points.
Yeah.
You can pay overs for it and get it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If
Yeah.
you're doing it like that, you would be paying overs to get that 5,000 points. I think that would be the caveat. So look, I did some research into this, and I tried to piece together an estimate for the pop count of these cards, right? So,
Okay.
and before I go into that, I just need to preface something first. So, with Select, they call base cards concourse.
Mhm.
Then there's like this middle card. They call that the premier level card.
Yeah.
And then there's this card called a courtside. And a courtside pre-retail, there was 2 courtsides per hobby box. So just to give you an idea of, how many of those
Relativity to
cards
what-
there are.
yep.
Yeah. So you get 10 premier levels per hobby box.
Mhm.
And it actually doesn't say how many concourse you get, but I reckon you'd get like 20 or 25. I think that's
Okay.
about how many you'd get out of a select hobby. Yeah. So I went on to the PSA Pop Count website, and Derrick Rose actually has the most graded cosmics, and there's 19 of them. And interestingly, they're courtsides. They're all courtsides, which is going back to what I was just saying a second ago. That's the hardest one to get out of those 3. So I was kind of thinking to myself, is that an error, like a statistic error, entering into their database, or is it something that's actually correct? Because if it's correct, that would mean I'm guessing now, but that would mean to me 50 to 60, I would say, would be the pop count of the court side. So if you sort of multiply that out, that would mean maybe there was 10 times more of the concourse. So that would mean 600 concourses. So when you say it like that, that's a decent amount that they're printing.
Yeah.
The second person that I did an estimate on was LaMelo Ball. He had 15 graded, and again courtsides, which I thought was really interesting. So there was 15 total graded with PSA, 7 10s, 5 9s, 1 7, and 2 6. The SGC database was faulty. I couldn't get into Select NBA for some reason.
Hang on, go back to the courtside thing.
Yeah.
Were there other levels?
Well, I looked
Or
at
was it only courtside that it was in
there
the
is
results?
there is other levels, but I looked at those ones specifically because they were the higher pop counts. I thought
Okay.
a bigger sample. I thought a bigger sample size would be better.
Yep.
But going back to answer your question specifically, remember the Halliburton that I was originally talking about?
Yeah.
That was the premier level one. So that's
what
the
I
middle
mean.
one.
Like,
yeah.
it's like,
Definitely there is the other ones coming out.
Because
Yeah,
if
too.
you look up Halliburton on your pop report and it says,
I think that was
it's
5 or
courtside,
6. It was 5 or 6 or something like that for that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went to GemRate to just refresh my memory on, the big grading companies. So it's PSA, BGS, SGC, and CSG. So for the LaMelo Ball, there was nothing on SGC. There was 0 CSGs and nothing on BGS, which is really interesting to me. I thought there might have been 1 or 2, but I suppose that was the shutdown time for BGS, wasn't it? Like no one's going to send off a card like that. And maybe that type of cosmic is sort of too high end for an SGC or a CSG. So
possible.
I thought that was a really interesting sort of statistical fact, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
So
it's interesting though. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, perceptions. It's all perceptions about, and pop counts is good evidence though.
I feel confident with that. I feel like 50 to 60, I think, is a reasonable guess, and then timesing it by 10 to get to the concourse, I feel okay with that too, actually.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I like it. I do like. I think that's pretty thorough research.
thank you, mate.
And I think you've got some good relativity. I think when you're comparing things, having a good basis of relativity, is very important. It justifies the argument, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, no, it's good research, but yeah, I don't know. As I'm going to go back to Andrew's comment. As a PC piece, very nice. So if it's a player that you collect, yeah, but as an investment,
Yeah, I think
don't.
it's
I'd be careful what you're paying if you're investing.
yeah, I have to admit, I think that's really tricky. Like for me to pay 600 US at the moment for that Halliburton card, like I'd have to really love that card, and
Yeah,
I just don't love it enough for that. And
yeah,
yeah, to be honest, I tapped out in the like low 200 USs, to be perfectly honest. So
yeah,
that went for me like way over. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
All right, let's talk Charlotte Hornets. We've been not promising, but we've been saying that we're going to talk about,
Actually, I was going to say our live feed chat. Can I just say, Don McFarlane has said, "Surely this week's the week we hear about my Raptors."
All right, let's do Raptors first then. That's fine. Let's do
All right.
Raptors.
We
Sure.
were going to do the Raptors and the Hornets. We were going to lead with the Hornets, but just
Yeah.
in case,
Yeah, just in case we run out of time, let's do that. That's totally fine.
let's call the audible and get onto the Raps.
Okay. All right, let's go. You go first. Who's hitting your radar on this team?
There's only one man I really want to speak
Okay.
about on the Raptors.
Yeah.
And look, I know we start at the top, but Pascal Siakam.
Yeah.
Pascal, come on. Siakam. All right. This man, Pascal Siakam,
All NBA third team last year.
third team. Now, I actually, on another podcast, did like an NBA preview over the weekend. And when we talked about the Raptors, this name came up. The players and coaches figured this guy out. And how he confronted this issue was literally reinventing himself. He's the 5. He's a freak of nature. And if he wasn't playing in Canada and was playing for a big franchise, I don't know, he'd be in the spotlight a whole lot more. I think, I think I just think he's phenomenal.
Yeah. Okay. So your bias is Pascal Siakam. So
I'm very bullish on him. Look, I don't know. I'm just bringing up his silver PSA 10 last sold for 220 US.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked about Jordan Poole as a basis of a start. This guy is an unsung hero of the league. But my question is, does he have the Ferrugia factor?
He does not have the Ferrugia factor at all.
That's my problem.
But we spoke about Pascal when we did that episode a few weeks ago. It was actually like our put away episode.
Yeah.
But to be honest, after that, I was picking up little bits and pieces of Spicy P because I just really thought it was like just a good buy at the time. So he's actually up 10% in the last 3 months. So
yeah,
I'm feeling even better about those, little purchases that I did put together of Spicy P.
Yeah.
I got a next day autograph. I got a nice RPA of his. I got like a green PSA 10. I didn't get a silver PSA 10, which is probably what I just should have done instead of buying those other 3 cards. But you live and you learn, don't you, ads?
Yeah, exactly.
I still think even at that price, he's a really good buy. Even at that price, I think he's way undervalued.
I do. Even though he doesn't have the Ferrugia factor, he's not like in your face. I think NBA like third team is all NBA third team is the tip of the iceberg for this guy.
So what has to happen for these to be hobby relevant in your opinion?
It's not about his he needs to keep performing, obviously.
Yeah.
I think it's a struggle in Toronto, but I think there's a spot. I think there's success. I think he needs more all-star level exposure.
Yeah.
But it's a tough one. It's a very tough one. I think it doesn't come down to his fundamental skills.
No.
But I do think long-term, Toronto's success will elevate him, or Toronto's lack of success will
Yeah. So that was
make him
literally
irrelevant.
what I was about to say. So I think my take on that is that if they win another championship, you can't discount anything that happened, because I think there is a slight narrative that Kawhi Leonard went there, won them the championship, and then left.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for
in
sure.
some ways, you're kind of like, well, Pascal Siakam didn't do anything. Fred VanVleet didn't do anything. But, if you watch that series, actually, both of them did a lot. I think that the reality is Pascal Siakam is better since they were in that final series. And then being pragmatic, the thing that has to happen is that Scotty Barnes has to be a star. So that's, for me, the person to watch on this is Scotty Barnes, because, irregardless of how I feel about Pascal Siakam, I think he's a really good buy. But I would probably think that Scotty Barnes is probably the more exciting prospect, or the prospect that, more people are buying. So now, in saying that, his rookie stuff is really not selling that high. So his silver base PSA 10 last sold for $61.
Wow.
I think that's a really nice buy. I think that's a reasonable risk to take.
Yeah.
And then once you sort of start going down to, like there's the fast break variants on there, that's $76. There's like a silver wave for $20. I think that's fine. His autograph is insanely high. I would probably say it's $485.
Yep.
I'm not high on Prism autographs. I think you're better off getting a Noir or
NT or
a select autograph, to be honest. Like even some of the Origin stuff this year, which is on-card autographs,
it's tough. It's very tough because
they just look like balls, though. I don't like the look at them. Yeah.
Prism are renowned for their silver Prism, but the autograph side of it's not like we're looking for their rookie signatures. Like it's just not. That's not the place to shop for that, I guess.
As high as I am on Pascal Siakam, I think the reality is Scotty Barnes is probably the one that you should be looking at.
Yeah. Is there any other value in the roster?
And that was the next thing I was going to say. The interesting thing, or the tasty thing about Toronto, is that there's a lot of really fun kind of prospects there that you can sort of hedge on. So you've got Precious Achua, you've got OG.
I was going to say OG was probably
Yeah. And to a degree, even Gary Trent Jr., his prices sort of, move and shake a little bit too.
Yeah.
So number one for me with a bullet is Scotty Barnes. I don't think that's even a debate. I think if you're looking for the very solid investment or the very solid purchase, it's not going to go up heaps, but it's also not going to drop down too much. I would say that's Spicy P.
Yeah.
And then after that, probably for me, look, to be honest, probably the sensible one is OG, because he's still a young guy. Yes, it's his 5th year in the league. He's still very, very young. And look, I've got a little bit of Precious put away too. But to be honest, that was before he got traded to Toronto. And then probably just my final thought, I think you have to say this about the Raptors. I actually think they're playing next generation basketball. They're literally playing a team that can defend against all 5 positions. I think their coach is one of the most forward-thinking coaches.
Is it Nick Nurse?
Yeah, that we've ever seen, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the sets that they run, the defensive sets that they run, I just think they're just...
Do you think he's literally going to be the next era of like the next sort of Greg Popovich style coach that's remembered for having a good system? Or do you think he's more of a...
So just bear with me for a second. Is he an American citizen? Because I knew he coached professionally in England for a while, but actually I don't know if...
I don't know much about Nick Nurse, actually.
Because my thing is, if he was the head coach of Team USA in the future, I would not be shocked by that at all. I really like his demeanor, what he does. Yeah, he was born in America. There's no reason why, if he isn't already on Team USA staff, that, he shouldn't be there. There's no reason.
Yeah.
I really like...
Yeah, look.
I really like him as a coach a lot, yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. Look, I have nothing but positivity as far as my faith is him as a coach.
Yeah.
My only problem with the Raptors is they just don't have that wow factor about them. Is it because they're in Canada? Like, granted, they're the best NBA team in Canada.
No, I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's a little bit to do with the style that they play. Like, they're very much like, they're a blue collar team. They're a no nonsense team. They play hard. They play good fundamental basketball. They have lots of passing. They make the right plays. Do you know what I mean? Like they're not doing dunks all over people and trash talk and all the rest of it.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I think there's that component of it.
They're just
I
a
think,
good fundamental team, aren't they?
but yeah, look, and probably realistically, it is to do with the fact that they are in Toronto. If you're being again pragmatic about it, yes, the way I consume NBA, it doesn't fuss me. League Pass is League Pass, but in terms of national games played and stuff like that, yeah, that does affect them, doesn't it? So yes, to answer your question, very long-winded, yes.
Yeah. It's I do like the look of them this year. Hobby wise, you're right. There's a few interesting punts to take.
Yeah.
But as far as any like long term big value, like I do think you're right that Pascal Siakam does have potential value there. But your money, your bigger sort of prospecting goes to those younger players like OG and Scotty Barnes.
Yeah. So let's do Hornets. I think we got time, mate. We can do a quick hitter on that.
We can do a quick hitter on the Hornets?
I think so.
All right. Let me just Google Charlotte Hornets.
All right. While you're
Google
Googling...
Images has come up with a dumpster fire. Let's scroll down. Images. Worst haircut in history, Gordon Hayward. That's nice. Nice. The man's wearing a dead skunk. It's fantastic. Sorry. Was that too much ragging on the Hornets?
No, keep going. I say keep going.
Well, if we're going to have to keep going, we have to get a visitor's pass to prison because that's where they're... Anyone got a get out of jail free card? Oh, because they certainly don't. Otherwise, they would have used it. Anyway.
Oof.
Oh, that was rough. I'm sorry, but it was deserved. Yeah, the Hornets are in a bit of trouble.
Yeah. So, all jokes aside, if you don't know what happened in the offseason, Miles Bridges was arrested. He's not currently with the team, I believe.
Yes.
And he also was up for a contract extension, which, wasn't offered to him. So, in terms of where he fits onto their depth chart, you could argue he's first on their depth chart or second. Personally, that's where I see him fitting into that team. He was incredibly strong for them last year. So, look, my hot take on this team is that towards the end of the year, if they're the worst team in basketball, I'm not going to be surprised because they're not a particularly deep team. And the way that they've spent their money, frankly, I don't think is very smart. I think they way overpaid on Gordon Hayward.
Yep.
I understand why they did it, to get like a good solid veteran to come in and, show the young kids. Like, I'm all on board with that. But you pay someone $10 million a year to do that, not 30.
They were going to offer Miles Bridges a max contract, but he also got arrested. Yeah. The Hornets are in trouble. He was arrested under domestic violence charges days before he was going to command a, and he was exciting.
Well, he's just a very strong player for them. Like, he's just very, very solid offensively. Rebounding enough.
He was exciting to watch. He actually had that wow factor. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm not saying I disagree, but for me,
he's a Ferrugia factor card.
I don't feel that way, but that's okay. It's okay for us to feel differently. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought he had the wow factor. I thought he went out there, he played explosive, exciting basketball, and it's unfortunate that, look, as a basketballer, I enjoyed watching him, but look, domestic violence is no joking matter.
I just think he's very solid. I just think he's very solid, Good enough
I didn't say
shooter.
he was a superstar, but it was just watching him was exciting.
Yeah, be in the right places, defensively
I'm also saying
good
watching
enough.
Alex Caruso is exciting, but...
He is exciting. I'll give you that.
He's great.
So, who are you targeting here card-wise? This to me, this is the real question.
Well, the only one... Actually, there's probably two names I can look at, but one I like, and that's LaMelo Ball.
Yeah, I think that's the obvious one. Yeah.
The other one I'd like to take a look at, and this is going blind on it, is someone that we haven't sort of looked at we haven't looked at, but I haven't even thought about for a while. It's Dennis Smith Jr. That's a fall from grace element, but anyway.
Can we come back to LaMelo and then touch on Dennis Smith in a minute?
Yeah. Let's go to Melo first.
So the reason why I just want to step back a little bit. So his Prism PSA 10 last sold for $950, and keeping in mind where Ja Morant's sitting, where Jordan Poole is sitting, where Zion Williamson is sitting, actually I think in the hierarchy I feel okay with $950. The reason why that is a little bit alarming, in real dollar terms, it's down $433 US. So I'm just going to get out my currency calculator to add pain to the mix on that. That's 681 Australian dollars, and it's down 31% in the last 3 months. So, like that is significant.
It is significant.
Yeah. And
does it make it a buy though?
So my take on this, and I'm going to put Zion Williamson into the same as this. I'm always a little bit scared of buying the tippy top. And I felt this way about Luka when Luka rookies were coming out. And look, if I had my time again, I'm an idiot and I was wrong on Luka, but you could argue I was right on Zion and I was right on LaMelo. Like, I think sometimes the top guys get nudged up just because they're the top guys. And then, for example, I thought Ja Morant was much better value in the last couple of years, and I thought Ant-Man last year for me was just a no-brainer at the price difference of what they were and the talent-wise. And so am I surprised to see this come down like it is? Well, not really, because I think there was so much hype around LaMelo. And where did all that hype come from? Like, how can I say this? Even I tapped into the hype. I got swept up in it too, but who started it, or, who kept the momentum going? Like, I'm not really that sure. So to see this sort of come down like this, particularly after, the downturn that we've had, I'm not surprised. Like, particularly if people were coming into the hobby, I'm like, okay, which card do I buy? Okay, I buy a LaMelo ball. So I go out and get a LaMelo ball. They're the same people like, okay, I've got to get out now. So which card do I sell? Okay, I sell my LaMelo ball. So that's how I feel about that. Yeah. What's your thoughts on that, mate?
I think you're right. I think there's through the first season or so, especially when the cards fresh come out.
Yeah.
Their prices are dictated on where they were on the draft board.
Yes.
To an extent, right?
Yes.
And and then it becomes where they are on the rookie of the year leaderboard.
Yep.
But it's also, the draft board maintains its factor.
But okay, well, hang on a second though. But the LaMelo doesn't fit into what you just said.
You're right. But LaMelo, when he came out, was hyped.
And what was it? Because he was doing the crazy passes and the in and out dribbles. Is that what it was?
I don't know. Is it ball brother press?
I don't think so, man.
It's not LeVar.
I don't think his idiot dad made his card prices go to $1,000. Like, I mean, come on.
Yeah, he put in some very interesting performances early on. I don't know. I was with you. I think Ant-Man was the better call. Like, I like Anthony Edwards, and he's proven it now. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think everything that people bought with LaMelo Ball was, how do I say it? People thought they were buying Magic Johnson cards on the cheap. Like, they were believing the hype.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good take.
Yeah, under the guise that they were sneaky getting value on Magic Johnson cards. And they weren't. They were getting LaMelo Ball.
Yeah.
Because the media do this. It can be a positive, it can be a negative, but they paint this picture and they compare players to other players. And if they say he is a generational talent, passing wise, the first comp I come to obviously is Magic.
Yeah.
So you think you need to get in on the ground floor with this player. He hasn't proven anything. He's played a couple of flashy games, but the media is comparing him to a legend. So he's being comped to that legend.
Yeah.
That's just my take on it.
Yeah. No, I think that's fine.
And then there's this hype, this perceived hype train that builds.
Yeah. And that's what you're right. That's exactly what it is. You're essentially gambling on the fact that he's going to top out at Magic Johnson. Yeah.
But it is. You jump on the hype train.
Yep.
Then you jump off the hype train. That's the buy and sell element of it. And you've got the people that fall asleep on the train
Yeah.
And they get to the end of the station and go, oh, and they go to sell their LaMelo and it's not worth anywhere near what they paid for it.
Yeah. So let's just take a step back for 2 seconds. So the LaMelo last sold for $950. The Ja Morant just sold for $1,100.
Yep.
You know, are you better off getting out of LaMelo and putting that extra 100 and it's only, what is it? 160, 100 extra $60 in and getting a jar. Look, I think that's where
That's
it's
the
at.
answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, and also how quickly cards change with Jar just getting 50 points this week.
Yeah.
Are we going to come back next week and it's 1,500?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there's also that
we're not coming back
that,
for a month to see what LaMelo's doing because he's injured.
So he's injured. He's on a stinkingly terrible team.
Yep.
And
when I say stinking, Gordon Hayward is wearing a skunk on his head.
Well, I was
stinks.
more meaning, like, I really think there is a genuine possibility that the Hornets are going to be the worst team in basketball this year. And I'm not trying to hot take it.
Have you seen the Spurs lineup?
I still think, I actually think the
terrible,
Hornets,
yeah.
I think the Hornets are worse than the Spurs. Like, without
Yeah,
LaMelo,
possibly. And I don't know.
Without Bridges, I think that team is going to be really bad. Really bad. So I think, okay, fine. So we've spoke about LaMelo. I think he's very high risk at the moment. I think he's got potential to slide even further.
That's scary, isn't it?
Who do you look at after that? For me, Book Knight is too risky. I think being in the same backcourt as LaMelo, that sort of rules him out. I'm not buying Gordon Hayward.
Not buying Terry Rozier, that's for sure.
Rozier, I think he's probably as much as he's going to go on. You can talk about Dennis Smith Jr., but I really think that...
Oh, Silvers are selling for $10. They're up. Not even... Yeah,
the book has been written on Dennis Smith. I think we can argue that.
For sure. I'm just saying, for those that were high on him years ago, not happening.
So I think the one that we can talk about, even though I just said that he was in prison when he was not, is PJ Washington. So is this a buy? Because this is someone that I half keep an eye on. All right. I'm going to put this as a very strong buy. So his last silver PSA 10 sold for $47. He's up 17%. So let's just play this out. If Bridges is out for the year and LaMelo's out for 3 or 4 weeks, who's going to get the majority of the shots and the shot making? Rozier will get an uptick, and Washington will.
Interesting.
All right. This hasn't been a wasted exercise.
Yeah, I do admit that I was kind of like, I guess we have to talk about the Hornets.
No, I don't think. I think actually we could probably find something interesting with every team, to be honest.
Yeah, look, there are nuggets in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel very sorry for the Hornets. But hobby wise, the other thing you can think about if you're a Hornets fan, and I'm just going to throw the curveball out there is the likes of LJ, Alonzo, Muggsy Bogues. Like, I'm talking 90s heroes, like former players.
So that's an interesting one. So I've actually read a little bit about this, and this is not revolutionary thought process, but the thought process that if you're buying older players who are already established, their value is already established.
Yeah.
Essentially, you're not gambling anymore. You're just buying in. So that, let's just say, I'm making up numbers. A Larry Johnson rookie card sells for $100.
Yeah.
The probability that's going to go up and down like a yo-yo is very small because the market is very well...
Correct, yeah.
But what you would expect over time is that the scarcity will increase and then it will slowly go up in value.
Fair.
So is that the play? Larry Johnson, Alonzo Mourning, Muggsy Bogues.
Larry Johnson, scoring kings, PSA 10, pop count of 9, $1,000.
Yeah. So instead of spending that $1,000 on LaMelo Ball, do you just put it into a Larry Johnson scoring kings?
Yeah. Doesn't always have to be an investment. If you're a Charlotte Hornets collector, find something nice of a player, an iconic player from their history that you like. Can
I answer that question though?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't buy that.
No, neither would I. But
because where did his career top out at? I don't think he won a championship.
No.
I think his highlight moment was that 4-point play with the Knicks in the Garden, which was an awesome play. But and then
For
Alonzo
sure.
Mourning.
I like Zoe, but I'm not investing
I don't
$1,000.
think he won a championship either. He might have as a like a 12th man.
Yeah.
I think he was on some really good Miami teams.
No, he was great. He did well in Miami, but yeah. Anyway,
But if that's your guy, yeah.
But that's the thing. Like I'm just saying, if you're buying Hornets
He
because
won
you're
a
a Hornets
championship in
fan,
2006. I'm wrong. That's my
with
second time
yeah.
I've admit I'm wrong tonight. I do apologize, listeners. Yeah.
But yeah, what I'm saying is, look, don't invest in the dumpster fire that is the currently constructed Charlotte Hornets.
I think you got to trade with caution, yeah. And maybe next week we need to check in with Ja Morant. I think next week we need to check in with LaMelo Ball. Like, is he going to be sliding at some exponential
Is he on the slide?
rate? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it does happen.
Yeah, true.
All right, Ad, let's tie this off and then let's do some. We'll finish the pod and then we'll do some Facebook questions. How does that sound?
Yeah, a bit of Facebook stuff after the show. That sounds fantastic.
Great.
Yeah.
Final thoughts, Ad?
Final thoughts. 50 episodes in.
Yeah, it's an achievement.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Give yourself a pat on the back. I'll give myself one later.
Okay.
I think we've done really well. Please give us some feedback. We love doing this and we've really enjoyed the ride so far and hope it sort of keeps on going. Looking forward to many more. So yeah. Thanks for being an awesome co-host and doing this week in, week out. You put in
thanks, mate.
a heap of work and
thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you for your kind words. Look, I think for me, the best compliment I can give you is that this is something I enjoy and I look forward to it every week. And I'm doing it with you. So thank you, mate. Like, I think that for me, really sums it up the best way. And I never find this to be a drudgery. And it's not like, oh God, I have to do another podcast this week. Like, it's something it's a part of my week now. And I really look forward to it. So yeah, thank you. And thank you to everyone who makes it possible. I think we said that at the start, but I'm going to say it again. Thanks to everyone. So yeah.
Thanks to everybody. And we look forward to doing it again and keep doing it.
Yeah.
It's been awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
See you guys. Bye.